XAI is looking to be an enterprise software company, or at least it is trying to build a group that will sell its software to businesses. That is according to a new report from The Information. And I want to bring on Theo Wayt, the reporter behind that story, to tell us more about Elon Musk's ambitions in that arena. Theo, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here.
Good to be here.
It's the Elon Musk show today. I mean, we're talking about space. We're talking about XAI. We haven't yet done Tesla, but we'll have to get there soon. So let's talk about this report that you published. Talk a little bit about the product that XAI is trying to sell to businesses.
They want to sell Grok for business. It's the enterprise version of the AI models that we've all seen on X. And they have about a dozen people or so that they've built up over the past 6 months that are out there pitching this.
Okay, so it's not too big a team yet. I mean, it's a dozen people.
It's tiny, yeah.
Okay, and how has the progress been?
There have been some somewhat limited tests. I've heard from sources that Palantir, Morgan Stanley are some of the bigger names. But the scale is just incredibly tiny compared to Microsoft or Google or OpenAI. And for the large part, these are companies that have existing relationships with Elon already. Like Morgan Stanley, for example, is generally his preferred investment bank. And these are tests at these companies that are seemingly in the, based on what my sources have said, generally hundreds of thousands or low millions of dollars. They're really not very significant for a company that's spending as much money on chips as XAI is.
And so a lot of times when companies turn towards an enterprise software type of business model, it's because their consumer business is a little more cyclical and maybe hasn't seen the results that they would have wanted. How is the consumer business doing right now?
It's definitely bigger than the enterprise business right now. If you think about, if you look at X, if you look at kind of, these consumer facing platforms, like Grok is everywhere there. It's being pushed on X users all the time. And they also have these kind of, they have a kind of willingness to go to places that other AI companies have been squeamish about. So that they have, AI girlfriends now on the Grok app, and they have looser content moderation in general for like images and videos. So, imagine what people do with that. And for now, that's kind of helped, boost their consumer business more significantly than their enterprise business.
So the consumer business is getting at least some traction by way of these experimental products that the company has rolled out.
That's a great term for it. Yes, that's right.
So now tell me a little bit about how much of a rush the company is in to generate revenue, because it's raised all this money. I mean, it's still building these data centers. Is there a funding crunch here?
I wouldn't say there's necessarily a complete funding crunch, but even if you're Elon Musk, at some point you're gonna need to raise outside money when you're spending the amount of money that XAI is. And, that's kind of these companies are kind of constantly fundraising in a sense. And they're going to need to show revenue growth when they're doing that. I mean, they're definitely not going to generate profit anytime soon, but they're trying to, get there with, if they can go out and say, we have this, recurring revenue enterprise business going, like that'll help them a lot.
Well, and I sort of tend to think that, I don't know, a company that is selling AI girlfriends, at the same time trying to sell its models to Fortune 500 corporations. I don't know. Do people actually think that this enterprise software business is going to take off, or
it's pretty awkward? I mean, I think from Elon's perspective, they want to have like an undeniably good product that, everyone will be forced to use because it's just far and away better. But I don't think that they're there yet. I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of like an executive at a Fortune 500 company that's, deciding which enterprise, deals to make, like when they think of Grok, they're going to think of a lot of the headlines around it, which are the, Mecca Hitler fiasco and AI girlfriends. And, if you have that versus like a Microsoft salesperson that you've worked with for 10 years that's offering you some kind of like specialized, Microsoft model or OpenAI model routed through Microsoft. Like you're just going to go with the more conservative and safe
Right.
option
Right.
generally.
Yeah. Well, I think your comment that it's pretty awkward is a good way to sum it up. So Theo, thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and we will have you back again soon.
Thanks.